Christmas came early. It's Christmas.
How about
Look at this.
Come on.
Look at the place.
Come on,
Check it out.
When people say, what does Emily do around the office? It's like, well, here you go.
She brought in Charlie Brown's Christmas tree.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Huh? And there's little lights
Little
right there.
miniature lights.
You know what they say,
I will
though?
tell you right now,
Clark.
if I would have brought like my other one that I have
You
on
know
my
where I'm going
desk,
with this.
you would have complained, oh, it's
They're
in
not
my
twinkling.
shot.
Little lights
I
don't
need-
blink.
Yeah,
blink.
yeah.
The little lights don't blink.
You just have to look really, really close. And they're there. I promise they're there. And so is Jamey Chadwell. He's here.
Right.
He's on the mountain.
Not here.
Well, it was Matt
the
Warner's
studio.
job to get him on the podcast.
Don't you worry about Warner. Don't you worry about Warner.
Ooh, shots fired.
He will get him on the podcast.
I went up at the press conference and he said, sorry, kid, no autographs. And I was like,
Beat it, kid, no
yeah,
autographs.
beat it, kid, no autographs.
Beat it,
So I was
kid, no
like,
autographs.
Hey,
okay,
he's
well,
only been
yeah.
here in Lynchburg for a day, but he will soon find out.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Flame
Yeah.
Central podcast is, in fact, powered by Alcova Mortgage.
It is.
Thank you very
And
much.
second, it
Thank you
is
very much.
a movement.
It's a
I just
movement.
want to
It's
take
a
some
movement.
time to
Yeah.
thank all of our fans out there. I mean, how many people came up to Matt Warner and he said to them, no kid, no autographs.
Beat it, kid, no autographs.
No, actually, it was. Well, obviously, we're going to get into the stuff that actually matters. But it was really fun at the press conference. We were all three there, and how many people came up? And were like,
Yes.
So cool.
oh, can't wait to this week's podcast. Oh, I love it when you guys just crush Emily and like
I know.
that always seems to come up.
Crushing Emily does come up a fair amount.
It does.
I know.
But you know what?
I just
People
like my
always tell me.
sport.
They always say, you know what? That Emily's a good sport.
She's a good sport.
I
Yeah.
try.
She
try. That's the
she
first.
plays along.
Yeah.
Can we just replay that 4
Yeah.
times just so
Yeah.
I make sure that I
The
heard it?
bottom
Matt
line
Warner kind of
is-
just
yeah.
gave me a
The
compliment.
bottom line is when all these coaches, people move to everything going on in Lynchburg, right? They're going to say, "Where's the action at?"
Yeah.
And the bottom line is the action is at the Flame Central podcast.
I know.
Powered.
That's powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Powered by Alcova
That's where the
Mortgage.
action's at.
Exciting times
Yeah.
here at Liberty. I mean, I feel like I have completely moved on. I am all about Jamey
Oh.
Chadwell is going to be. I'm really fired up about
Absolutely.
this hire. Ian McCaw said that it was his #1 choice, without a doubt.
Yeah.
He was at the top of his list. Reactions, guys.
Checking
Are you
it
guys
twice.
pumped?
Oh, beyond pumped.
Yeah.
I mean, is it what I mean? Here's a guy who is a proven coach
Yeah.
at, and the thing is like there's different ways to get coaches, right? When you look at Liberty history on how they got different coaches,
Yeah.
right? You go back to the 80s, the late 80s when Sam Ratigliano was hired, the staff
Yep.
that I was on. Sam was an NFL Coach of the Year, the
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns, but he was older. And it was more like, wow, here's a big hire as an NFL Coach of the Year to be able to come here and really understand how football works and how to build a product. And he's built it. Then the reins got passed on. There was a little bad. There was a dark period. There's a little
Yeah,
tiny. There's
that's
a
fine.
dark
You
period
skip
there.
over that.
We're gonna skip over
Yeah,
the dark
yeah,
period,
yeah.
right? And then you look at a guy like Danny Rocco, who
Yeah.
came in and did such a great job as Liberty is starting to get coming out of the weeds of getting an influx of money and support from the administration financially to be able to add to the stadium and do the expansions and all the
Yeah.
different things that can help you recruit more. And Danny did such a great job there, and then the reins were passed to Turner Gill. And Turner Gill sort of took it to the next thing as they started to make the transition to FBS, and then Hugh Freeze. And so the hires along the way have been so good. And now you get a guy where you've got everything available to you. You have all the facilities, all the support from the administration. The fan support is increased. The Flame Central podcast is really, really, I think
You don't need to take
personally,
too much credit, but yeah.
I think
know.
personally, Flame Central podcast is taking it to the next level.
Right.
That's just me.
That's
This
just
is
you.
very
That's
true.
just me, but I think that's going to be true.
Not going to have Coach on today, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
promise you, we are
Yeah.
going to get Coach Chadwell, and he's going to understand that this is a movement.
This is where it's at. And so now that you always, so what do you look for in a coach?
Yeah.
And that is, okay, here's a guy who's won with less,
Yep.
right?
Big time.
And so when you can say that's when you know, okay, we've got everything in place. Now you go out and find a coach who, hey, he may not have had the best facilities. He may not have had all the financial resources. He may not have had all these different things that come with a big time job, and he still won.
Yeah.
And won big time. That's a hard place to Coastal Carolina
Yeah.
and Charleston Southern.
Well,
Are you
yeah.
kidding me? Like you start going through the resume,
yeah.
places that he won at. Now you take a guy who's got a really good coach, really good experience in the coaching world, and then you put him with all this.
And the
It's got home run potentially written
Right.
all over it.
and
Well-
the Charleston Southern is what impresses you the most.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he was fantastic at Coastal, but you go the 4 seasons he was at Charleston Southern, Chadwell's teams averaged 8.7 wins per year, made the FCS playoffs twice. In the 6 seasons since he left that program, they barely won 4 games on average a year, right? That has not been, and before that, 2 years before he got there, they didn't win a single game. Like, that has not been a historically great program. He elevated it and did so quickly. Yep. You saw what he was able to do at Coastal Carolina these last 3 years. And it goes back to what you said a couple of weeks ago, Joe, on this podcast. You said your dad, CFL legend, would always say, look for those guys who can do more with less.
That's right.
He's done that, and now he has a whole lot at his disposal. You know he can coach. You know he can win. And now you add in all the other things that Liberty adds. And the beautiful part of it, and it was evident as soon as he stepped up to the mic.
Icing on the cake, Matt Moore.
What was so evident was you always wonder here at Liberty, right? What's the big question?
Yeah.
Are they going to be a Liberty fit?
Yeah.
Will they hire someone that's a Liberty fit? Like, are you kidding me? Like, this guy is made for Liberty University. He lives it. The Liberty mission is his personal mission. Like, this is a perfect fit in all aspects. Like, there is not a, well, but there is this one. No, I don't know what a negative would be.
Yeah.
This was the perfect candidate, and Ian McCaw nailed it. And sometimes you find that guy that, he'd be great, but you just can't find a way to seal the deal. Or, but there's this one thing, red flag. I mean, not only did he identify the right candidate, Ian McCaw got it done, and he's here, and now he's off and rolling.
McCaw called it yesterday a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
So that's really, really, that's so sweet, isn't it? Have you texted Chadwell to see if you can get on the staff, or are you just kind of playing hard to get?
Give him time to get settled.
Let the guy get his box.
I wonder how he's going to say your last name.
Let's get the box sometime. We were still going to beat up my last name.
I know.
Did you see someone tweet at you about that? Did you see that? They called you Joe Jock on Twitter.
Not saying that I'm going to turn the attention away from the hire of Chadwell, but I have a really funny story that's coming. No, later.
Okay.
Later you're holding it.
Yes, you guys don't know anything about teases or like how you keep people listening, because a lot of the people that came up to us yesterday were like, I listened to the first 5 minutes and then I'm out,
No, they did not say that.
I'm kidding. So it's a really funny story. Total blonde moment on my end of when I was first hired at Liberty University. I like to I'm not a total, like, always having blonde moments, but this was
sharp
top 5.
Yeah.
That was a really good line. Takeaways from the press conference. We were all there yesterday on Sunday when Chadwell was announced the head coach. What was really cool was how many people showed up for this. I mean, it was in the Carter Tower. I mean, the room was filled. The amount of cheers that you heard when he was
I think it's surprising.
Walking in with his family.
You can tell when they stepped off the elevator, there was almost standing ovation, right? Yeah. There was almost a little bit like, whoa.
You're talking about
you're talking
about when I stepped off the elevator, right?
Yes,
okay.
And then a few minutes later, but I think for Coach Chadwell and his family, younger kids, you're always wondering, like, okay, we're going to a new environment. What's it going to be like? I'm sure there's a lot of nerves, and I think to see that and that kind of reception, they probably just take a deep breath. Yeah. We're home.
They're going to find out. He and his family are going to find out. It's a really special place here on the mountain. I'm really excited about the younger kids that he has, because they're just going to be so fun, growing up in Flames Nation. Which brings me to my next point. In his press conference, I'm trying to stay in the moment, but I'm not. He said that he's going to be here forever. Forever, ever.
Well, that was a great line.
Forever, ever.
That was a great line. Where he said, they're going on to his 18th year of marriage, and he's
probably
moved his wife
as many
times. But as long as they'll, have him, he's told her this would be the last move. It's a great line.
I'm saving that.
Well, listen, that's one of those things where I've seen a lot of fans talking about that line. That was a really good line.
I can't deal with the change.
Why can't we just live in the present?
No,
that's what I'm
because
saying, Joe.
I can't.
Let's just live in the present.
I have to mentally prepare myself if you're just going to leave in a few years. So, no, I'm kidding. I'm really excited. What was funny was he got all these cheers yesterday at the press conference, but he talked about in his press conference speech that in 2016, when he was here running out with Charleston Southern, he did not get a lot of cheers. There was a lot of boos. And he said and looked around this stadium and was on campus here and was like, it would be really awesome to be back in a Christian environment.
Called it a dream job.
And a dream job. So that's just really, really neat to see everything come full circle.
Yeah. I think too, just in terms of that, because there's always going to be some detractors that, he was at Coastal. The rivalry, whatever. Like, listen. I don't think that's that big of a deal, number one. So what? He was at Coastal. That's not really even a rivalry anymore. We're not we're in the same conference.
Well, Liberty had the last laugh with that Cure Bowl win.
Right, and he mentioned that as well. Said he ruined his perfect season. But if you go out there and win a couple games, nobody remembers any of that stuff.
No.
Number one, as soon as you hear him speak,
Yeah.
and you get a sense of just how genuine he appears to be and what his heart is, like, none of that stuff matters. So I don't want to hear it about from, some other folks that maybe, have been fans for a while. That stuff doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Like, he's a Liberty guy now, and as soon as he starts doing what we think he'll do here with this program, that all gets left behind. Nobody's going to think about it.
I tell you, though, he did say put some lofty goals out there.
Oh, yeah.
When he threw, because of the expansion of the playoffs. Right. And he threw the CFP playoff into the picture for Liberty University.
That kind of stuck with me, too.
That stuck me a little bit, too. Like, okay, well, you got some work to do because, I don't want to be a detractor here or anything. On the other side of things is like Coastal historically hasn't played, the greatest defense in the world. And so now when you're getting into with the offenses that he's put on the field, the quarterbacks on the field, like all those different things, that when you start talking about could that happen because you're in a conference now, you go undefeated, right? But then once you get there, you're in a different animal.
Yeah, right.
So that's why I think if he has those type of lofty goals to be able to get into the college football playoffs, right? Then there's going to have to be one heck of a defense that's going to be built in order to make that happen. And I think that's the one question mark that I would say right now is can he build? There's no doubt they're going to score points and they're going to win football games. There's no doubt. Yeah. But when you start bringing that into the conversation, can you build a defense that can complement your offense?
But think about it, Joe.
Yeah.
Think about in such a short amount of time. Like, it was not long ago we were calling lost to St. Francis. You know what I mean? And now Liberty football is talking, we have aspirations of making the college football playoff. And it's not like, yes, is that a lofty goal? Yeah. Yes, but it's not an unrealistic goal. No. It's really not. No. And that's crazy in such a short amount of time that's real. That is out there.
Well, you look at Coastal.
Right.
31-6 in the last 3
But here's the thing, you look at Coastal not 2 years ago, it was 2 years ago, I believe, right? If there was a college football playoffs, they were in it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, they were undefeated.
Yeah.
And they were ranked, what, 10th, 11th in the country?
14th.
Or something. But, you're not leaving them out. Right. They're going to have that underdog team. So can you put yourself in a position at Liberty to be able to do that?
So a lot of talk on social media is also like, why would Chadwell leave Coastal, which Sunbelt, better conference, and move to Conference USA? Maybe if you look at the contract details, that might be one of the reasons. I don't know. But is that CFP the reason why it doesn't really matter if you're at the Sunbelt or the Conference USA in terms of, like, what is the quote-unquote better job? Because when you look at Liberty, obviously a lot of people don't understand the resources, the facilities.
I think that's a huge thing. And it's
here.
not even, I know everyone quickly goes to his salary, which, for any person that's ever had a job, if someone was like, hey, I'll pay you X amount more, you're like, oh, well, I might be interested.
You would never leave the Flame Central podcast.
I've made that point clear. I
just pay him whatever you need to pay him.
But that's just the way the world works, right? But I think even more so than that, you talk about the facilities and all that stuff, but think about in terms of his staff, like, how important it is for him to be able to help bring on people and support them. Like, there's not just resources for him, it's resources for his staff as well and who he brings in. Yeah. And that's hugely important for him as a leader and wanting to help out, his guys, and also to get the best people possible on his staff so this continues to move in the right direction. So it's not just him, it's everybody.
Another one of the resources we have here on the mountain is Alcova Mortgage. So if you're, moving to the area, a new coach, new staff, you're looking for a new home, guess what? I have the guy, Joe Jock?
Joe, give him.
Joe Yuck.
Thank you.
Take the floor.
Thank you. And for the new folks that are coming in and our relationship with Liberty University, we are going to give a nice little relocation deal for them to help make the transition, to be able to save money, possibly.
Would you do that for anybody?
We will for you, Matt Warner.
Well, no, I'm here. You already got me.
Yeah, I already got you. You're a client. So we've got a little Liberty University relocation deal that we're putting together, and come with the details of that, just to try to make the transition a little smoother. And we'll take real good care of the folks, as we always do.
Love that. So go to your Google machine
and type in Joe, Jau, C-H.
And once you scroll
And
past
it's
all
German.
the CFL highlights, you'll find his Alcova Mortgage link.
Do you really have highlights online?
I don't know if I I think it's before they had video cameras.
Right. Sketches. It's a sketch.
No, it's one of those reels, you know?
Yeah.
And me and my dad used to
little
watch
flip
film.
book. Yeah.
You watch a film, you hit the little clicker.
Yeah.
And then it goes, you have the roll and the reel, and then it go back, and then it would break.
Yeah.
And I'd hear him over there, and he had scissors in the office, in our house. And he had scissors, and he'd cut, and he'd tape, and blah, 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 splice it back together, and zing, and then it would reel up and go.
Yeah. My good buddy has some tape, Ace Ventura Pet Detective, you know, that's where I know that tape machine. Okay, let's talk about, you know, as far as where Coach Freeze left this program.
Yep.
It was interesting because Chadwell was asked, like, is it harder to take and build a program from like the bottom up or to take over a program like this? And he said that this is actually harder because the roadmap is going to look different. There's already been success with Coach Freeze, but now you have a little bit of a different way you might be getting success. But I have a pretty good feeling after just hearing some rumors of Coach Chadwell talking and approaching the team yesterday. These guys are going to buy in. They're going to trust him. But again, that roadmap will look different, and it might be harder for him.
Yeah, no, I understand what he's saying, and I agree with him, because when you go into a place that's down, number one, the expectations are super low, right? And as he said, players will do anything for you because they just want to win, right? And so I get that, how that's easier. And now it's like, well, we're going to do this a little bit differently. And they're like, well, why? It worked for us before doing it the other way. But I think he has a couple of things going for him. Number one, the way the Flames finished out this year leaves a little something to be desired, right? So this is still going to be a hungry group that's like, the way we finished really the last 2 years, like, we know we can be better. And so he's got that going for him. The other thing is, he's just a real dude. Like, he's just an authentic guy. Like, you hear him talk, great sense of humor. Like, he just seems like a guy that you're like, okay, I understand. This isn't just you trying to sell me on something. This is who you are. Oh, by the way, look at your credentials. You were the National Coach of the Year 2 seasons ago. So I don't think it's going to be as difficult in terms of that. But for any coach, I think when they come in, a concern is always, what are the expectations? How do I meet those? And the expectations are sky high right now. Right. You know, so that will be a challenge.
Yeah, and you always look for, like, okay, what are you going to make new? Okay.
Right.
So, like, the point you're making, Deion Sanders walking into Colorado. Okay, that thing's a dumpster fire, right?
You guys all enter the portal. I'm bringing my own luggage.
Exactly. Right. And so like he's starting from scratch right there. And anything he says, they're going to lie and say yes, sir. Right. But from Liberty's standpoint, it's like, okay, well, Coach Freeze got everything going sort of to the next level, but as an independent,
right?
You know. So now, what's new? All right, what new can you chase? What's going to motivate? What's going to keep you hungry? Now that you're in Conference USA, now you have a conference title to chase. Now that the playoffs been expanded to 12 teams, you got to put, and he put it out on the table, you got a playoff race to chase. And so that makes it much easier for the players and everybody, administration, staff, everybody to buy in, saying, okay, we got a title to chase from the conference, we got a potential playoff spot we can build off of. So that in itself will grab and hold their attention.
And to compare to that a little bit to when Liberty went into the A-Sun as an athletics department, like, you saw every team, it seemed, kind of took their game to a little bit another level.
They want to rise with us.
They want to rise with us, Now, was the A-Sun really that much better than where they came from? In the end, nah, maybe not. But it felt like, oh, we've got to step it up now. This is a new, these are the new teams we haven't played. This is a new level, and everybody rose brought their game to another level. I think, like you're saying, same thing now going into Conference USA. That's the sell. It's like, hey, you want to compete. This isn't the way it used to be. Like, we have to step up and take it to another level, and that's a huge motivating factor.
How many, I don't know the answer to this, how many teams are in Conference USA?
I think it's all but 3 or 4. 3?
No, total teams. The football is in that conference. Is it 9 teams? 9. So how many out-of-conference games will Liberty play next season? Like, do they already have that schedule?
Pull up the future schedule for you.
Because that's what I'm interested in.
The conference schedule isn't set.
The conference schedule isn't set, but you know you have to play.
But here are the 4 non-conference games.
So 4 non-conference.
Do you want to get this out? Get your calendar out?
Yeah, get it out.
We open up September 2nd against Bowling Green.
Okay.
MAC.
That's MAC school.
September 16th at Buffalo. September 30th. Glad you go to Buffalo in September, by the way.
Yeah,
although they're in a dome, I think, aren't they? September 30th, you host Old Dominion. November 18th, you host UMass. So that's second to last week of the season. So all the other dates, you got to fill.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how far out of conference scheduling goes. It goes pretty far out, doesn't it? But like, I'm wondering if, like, what was the big sell this year? Was, hey, Virginia Tech, BYU. Can you go out of conference and try to get some of those resume building type of wins? That would definitely help your cause out. As you try to win Conference USA, obviously is going to be first and foremost thing. But if you can get some out of conference big wins, that helps also.
But do you think that that's going to be the same as it has, like, as far as building that non-con schedule?
Well,
it's been so difficult because of.
It's harder in this sense because I think, a couple of things. Number one, you're winning.
Right.
And nobody wants to play.
Like, just like Liberty basketball.
But the other thing is, too, whereas as an independent, it's like, oh, you're Power 5, you want to play? Okay, well, we can play you whenever.
Right.
Like during the season, right? Because we're an independent.
So
whereas now it's like you got all these conference dates, so it's like, well, we'd love to play you, but we only have this stuff available, and so that's another challenge that
good point, Matt Warner.
I think we should leave the lights on the TVs year round. They look really good. We just need something because it just kind of looks a little blah.
Here's my question.
Or I wasn't done, but
okay, go ahead. No. Oh, we can talk decorating.
No, I'm kidding.
What's job number one, you feel like, for a football coach when they come in?
Well, okay, so that was going to be my kind of next transition, because you get the job, and I know Ian McCall wanted to get someone in place as soon as possible.
That portal's spinning right now.
Because that portal
my goodness.
It is open today, and I haven't seen any reports that anyone at Liberty has entered yet. But, I mean, you just have to be spinning if you're Chadwell, because not only do you need to build your staff, but you have to recruit. Early signing day, what is it, December 19th or 20th?
Yeah.
So
not only that, you got to recruit these players that are high school or in the portal and keep trying to recruit the guys that are here to make sure they're bought in, as you said, and keep them here. There's a lot going on. And as you said, you don't have a whole staff. Like now you still have guys from the previous staff that are here coaching through the bowl game that are helping with that. They're certainly going to help. But you're just meeting them for the first time.
Right.
And you're trying to evaluate them at the same time and be like, are any of these guys fit? So, man, it's a lot. That's a lot on Coach Chadwell's plate, which, I mean, he probably still could, fit us into his schedule.
Right, I know.
What else? Like, come on. I'm joking. It's totally understandable. It's totally understandable.
He'll give him a week. Yeah. He'll realize. Yeah. He'll hear it. I talked with somebody about, like, trying to get the Flame Central podcast on the loudspeakers around campus. It has, like, the nice Christmas music. Can you imagine if our voices, talk about angels.
Gorgeous.
Talk about
angels sent from above.
A recruiting pitch.
Sometimes when Matt talks, I can just see him hovering up above.
Okay, so my question to you, Joe Yock, how much will it help having a guy like Chadwell coming from, not saying Liberty and Coastal or even as far as like their programs, but a lot of the guys that he is or was recruiting to come to Coastal, do you just turn and say, hey, no, come to Liberty instead? Is that how it works?
Tough. I mean, that's tough. I mean, you might get some of that. I don't think you'll get too much of it. I want to go back to the transfer portal thing and how that has changed the landscape of college football, because I'm starting to see, like, coaches out there, like, everybody's worried about kids transferring, right? Yeah. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, when you start seeing kids go in the transfer portal, like, I've heard coaches talking about this. Why do kids want to transfer? Okay, they want to transfer because most likely they're not playing enough, right? So that's the number one reason. So if your second or third string players are transferring, okay, and they're not playing enough, well, wouldn't you want, a kid comes out of high school, he wants to go to college, get an education, and then he wants to play football, right? And if he's not getting the opportunity to play, if you really care about the kids and you want to see them have a success and have a good experience in college, if it's not the right fit here and you're not going to have the opportunity to play and you're going to be a second or third string guy, then entering the transfer portal, help them get to a place where they'll have the opportunity to play. Because it does two things. One, it gives them the opportunity to play. And two, it opens up scholarships. And then now you've got other kids entering the transfer portal that you think could be a good fit, and you evaluate correctly. Look at the day-to-day hunters and the different players that Liberty has that's brought out of the transfer portal. TJ Green, for example, has come to the transfer portal, and being able to select those players that could have more of an immediate impact on your team can help you towards roster building. So when you start seeing names go into the transfer portal, don't get all bent out of shape about it. It doesn't mean that your program's in bad shape. Everybody's got kids transferring because Alabama's got kids transferring.
Right.
Because they're looking to find a place where they can actually play.
Yeah.
And that opens up the opportunity for you to get the transfers in with scholarships where you can sign the right guy.
You have to think. Sometimes people are going in the portal for other reasons, and I think that that's where it can be a little risky for coaches because you have to make sure you don't have as much time as far as like being a high school, recruiting a guy out of high school. How much time, not only evaluating them on the field, but evaluating like, is this going to be a right fit for my culture and all of that. So you just have to be really careful. It is a little riskier, but you can find success. A Malik Willis. But in what Matt was saying, in the last 3 years, over 19,000 football prospects enter the portal. Not even 8,000 found a new home. So 40% of prospects were placed. So, yeah, there is a situation where it can not work out or whatever. So you do have to really take the time. But that's where I think maybe some changes should come with, the calendar. And Matt and I were talking about this yesterday when you left early because you just have better things to do. Should the calendar change in terms of, because look at all the rumors and what happened to the end of Coastal season, the end of Liberty season with Coach Freeze leaving, Coach Chadwell leaving. All these players get, kind of the worst end of it because they lose their conference championship. They lose their last three.
Rumors swirling. It's just distracting.
It's so distracting.
But you have to make moves because you have to get done before the portal and all that stuff.
I understand, but it has to happen because of the early signing day, because of the transfer portal.
Right.
So why can't we change those dates, or why aren't those dates further in, or maybe in January? Let these guys play through the season, play through the playoff, play through their bowl games. So then there's not like all this it's chaotic now because now you're trying to figure out the transfer portal. You're trying to figure out recruiting. You're trying to figure out early signing day, and you're trying to build your staff, and you can't even have time. I don't know,
100%.
to just breathe. I don't know why. If it's
That's a lot.
I don't know. You guys, I guess, have no suggestions.
No,
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And it does feel like it is unique to college football.
Yeah.
You don't hear this type of situation in.
You talk about wanting to vet a coach, right? Like these universities. Liberty was in a unique position because like Coach Chadwell was their number one guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so Ian McCaw can move quick on it and make the offer quick and get the right hire quick. But there's a lot of other universities out there that are like, oh my goodness, we got to do this right now. Yeah. And we don't, there could be 6 guys that might take the job, not take the job, and that they have to wait. Well, all this action's happening while they're waiting, and they don't give them an opportunity to really vet anybody. Completely. To find the right guy.
Well, I'm not trying to disregard the women's side of sports and all the other men's sports, but think about the 3 top programs, as far as the main men's basketball, baseball, and football. You have 3 of the greatest guys,
Great head coaches.
Such great head coaches. Not to,
Right, no,
all of our coaches are awesome, but for your 3 main programs, it's just a really, really good time for Flames Nation.
Can we mention real quickly, too, the Boca Raton, Florida?
Yes. Oh
and
my
the
gosh.
bowl game.
Boca.
Liberty and the roofclaim.com bowl against Toledo.
Yeah.
That's it. MAC champion, Toledo.
I watched a little bit of that game.
Yeah?
They're pretty good.
What'd you think?
They're
They got
good.
a good. It looks like the quarterback's pretty
They're
dynamic.
good. They can move the ball. They're good. Yeah, they're physical. Yeah, they got a nice little squad.
So
Get
looking forward to that.
your tickets to go
Boca.
down to Boca Raton,
Yep.
go
You
on
know who
the
else?
beach.
You know who else lives in Boca Raton?
Who's that?
Well, Jerry Seinfeld's parents live there.
Okay. In the
And
Boca
then-
Vista.
In the
phase
Boca
2.
Vista. And then because Jerry Seinfeld's parents moved there, George Costanza's parents, just to spite
Yeah.
Jerry's parents, moved to Boca too.
Yeah.
We're moving to Boca.
Yeah. So
My
good.
old stomping ground.
So good.
So good.
You don't know this, right?
so
You
good.
don't watch Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I don't.
Go watch it. It's good.
I feel like it's 100 seasons long. I don't have enough time for that.
We're moving to Boca.
Get out to the men's basketball game tomorrow. They're taking on
Clark Summit, baby.
Yeah. So
Who?
Clark Summit. They are the
Is that a person?
Defenders. Clark Summit Defenders.
Clark!
Clark? You serious, Clark? Summit?
Real tomato ketchup,
Yeah.
honey.
Okay, funny story about when I
yes.
first got hired here at Liberty.
yes.
I don't know,
This
does
was the
Coach
team.
Chadwell have to do this? Like, go to the
Well,
welcome
first
center?
off, Coach Chadwell was a home run hire. We said no red flags, right? No.
Emily Austin.
Hey, it was like United Nations building, yeah.
He said no red flags.
Oh my
No,
God.
tell this story. Your story
It
is
didn't come with
she did
any
not
red flags.
Let me
Yeah,
just-
that's a
let me
lie.
preface this story. This
Go to the
story,
Google machine.
she did not tell me until she'd been here like 2 years.
No, I think I told you last week.
Do I
because
know
I
this
have been-
story?
Recent.
I have been
I don't know
so
if you know
embarrassed
this
about
story.
this.
Tell
Okay?
it. Tell it. Let's hear the
So
story. You're
Matt,
teasing this thing
you
the
have
whole
to go to
time.
the Welcome Center and go through all of this like new hire training or what. I don't even know
Yeah.
what it was. I fell asleep. But
Sensitivity.
Yeah.
no, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
No.
So I go and I don't have any of my parking pass or anything like that.
Right.
So Matt's just like, you'll be fine to park at the Barnes and Noble. That's all he said. He didn't say the campus bookstore. He just said park at the Barnes and Noble.
you didn't.
So I go to my Google machine
No, she didn't.
and I go and I type in.
No, she didn't.
She did.
Oh my gosh, I've got to get a new laugh. I keep listening back to that and it's so embarrassing. But I go and I type in Barnes and Noble,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And I park at the Barnes and Noble
In Wards
on
Road.
Wards Road.
Yeah.
Okay?
She hoofed
I
it.
don't know how far that
Was this
really
your
is,
first day?
but it's my first day and it was pretty cold.
It was like November, wasn't it?
No, it was September 30th
okay.
and it was pretty
Why did
chilly.
you call it the Barnes and Noble? This is your fault.
I would like to see proof. I don't know if I call it Barnes
I
and
can
Noble.
go back to my text
Park
chain.
at the
I
Liberty
know.
bookstore.
That's what I would have said.
Don't
So-
put this
This
on
is
you.
Guys,
100%
I
on you.
park at the Barnes and Noble, and I remember I was in like
Oh.
a sweater and whatever, and I was freezing walking there. I get to the
4
Welcome
lanes of
Center.
traffic.
Like 2 miles.
Wait till you
Yeah,
hear the story on the
uphill.
way back. So I am like drenched, and everybody was like, "Do you need some water? Are you okay? Did you
Yes.
like?
Yeah.
Why
It's
are
our
you
initiation,
sweating?"
our new hire initiation.
I am
yeah.
telling you right now, my armpits
Yeah.
were like
Oh,
soaking
that's
wet. I was sweating, okay? So then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a bird scooter to go back to my car after all of these meetings.
Yeah.
It'll be so much
You didn't have
easier.
bird
I can't
scooters then.
believe I had to walk. I'm like crossing, dodging cars on
Yeah,
Wards
it's
Road.
like-
Frogger again.
It's
Yeah,
Frogger
it's
going across
dangerous.
that, yeah.
So then I get a bird scooter, but I must have gotten a bird scooter that was supposed to stay on Liberty
yeah, they-
campus.
they run out of
so
range
as
or whatever.
soon as I get off campus, it's just so
She's-
I am literally pushing
Yeah.
this thing.
Oh,
and
boy.
so it's not like I'm just like joyriding down Wards Road on this thing. I am physically having to push this
I
bird
think they
scooter.
have a range there.
It
Did
was
you not
yes.
realize that once
And
it stops?
so then once I stop, I'm like, well, if I leave it here, like, am I gonna get
Oh,
charged
boy.
for this? I'm like
Oh,
freaking out.
disastrous.
Yeah, I did
You know
get
what, though?
charged.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But it was, it was so,
Yeah.
so embarrassing. But
That is 100%
Matt's fault.
on that one.
I
You know
know.
what? I want to do like those.
100%.
We need to do like
Emily,
those
I will-
commercials where we say,
I will
I'm
get
throwing
your
the challenge flag. I want to see
No.
the text message
You
to see
told
how
me
I
park at
phrased
the
it.
Barnes and Noble, and I'm like, why? What
I would like to see
I
that.
couldn't believe how far I had to walk. I mean, but here we are.
Liberty
I stayed.
Bookstore.
Liberty Bookstore.
Yeah. Well, built character.
Well, Flames Nation, you should be fired up. You
If
have
you
a
did
new.
on that person, if you did that for real, like you did it on purpose,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
That would, I know.
He
We should
probably
have that as our new
did.
hire.
And he
That's
did.
where the bullying began.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2019.
And now we're here.
Now we're here.
And now
Guys,
we're here.
Beautiful
don't
thing.
forget to stay locked in on our social media accounts. We have some awesome Christmas stuff coming your way. Women's basketball hot seat, a gingerbread challenge, and
Oh, how'd that
a
go?
special. You need to be on one of our Twitter handles, Liberty Flames, on Christmas Eve because we have something coming
Oh,
your way this
yes.
year that is
Yeah.
pretty
I've seen that. It's good.
remarkable. So, anything else you guys want to add before we?
I don't think so.
Close
I
it
think
up.
it's just, you kind of hope that everything goes the way you
Yep.
want to when you go into any kind of coaching search. And I think this was perfect.
Home run.
It's ready. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to remind you, Josh Aldridge will be leading the Flames for the bowl game, coaching.
I'm excited for him.
Some of the
really
staff
excited.
staying.
for him.
We're not going to bowl. We're waiting on our bowl prediction before we do this bowl game.
Oh, yeah, we've got time.
What do you think?
We've
What are
got
you
time.
thinking about them? What are you thinking
Well,
about?
we
the
can
bowl
do
got
bold
next week.
predictions
Yeah.
for next week
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I haven't researched or planned
Yeah.
enough.
No. We're neck deep right now in the defenders of Clark Summit.
But get your tickets to go down to support the Flames in the bowl game down in Boca.
You can buy your own tickets, or also buy and donate tickets. If you go to Liberty's website, you can find all the information so that there are people down there that maybe
there's some Flames that live in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
There's a fair amount of Flames that live in Florida.
Yeah. And great beaches down there. Some of my favorite. It will be interesting.
You know what else is good in Boca?
What's that?
Pickleball.
Good pickleball down there.
Actually, they do. They
really
do have
good
some really good
high-level pickleball down there.
We will continue to do our research on if Coach Chadwell has played pickleball, if he has his own racket. Is it a racket or it's a paddle?
That. Don't you be talking
Joe
about
almost
pickleball.
shut the press conference down.
I know.
You just let me handle the pickleball.
You should have seen Joe Yock maneuvering himself. So Coach Chadwell had to pass him. On the way to his media, I'm looking at Matt and I'm like, you got to get over there and pull the reins. He's gonna start cornering Coach and asking him about pickleball.
That's just not true. Once again, you start telling these things. I was talking to Robert Goodman. Robert Goodman is a good friend of mine.
He happens to be on the sub list.
He's on the sub list for the JPL pickleball team.
Do you want to do bold predictions about who is going to come in on his defensive staff or who is going to stay? No, that's not fair. Yeah, Matt Warner just gave me a look like, don't get Joe going on that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening or watching the Flame Central podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage. We'll see you right back here next week.